Well, a lot of people ask me, what are living skills? And I explain it this way. Just as a child needs to have skills in order to learn arithmetic, reading, writing, those sorts of things, they also need to have skills in order to live their lives intelligently and responsibly. I started out as a traditional educator, and I was really good at getting kids to jump through the hoops. But one day, I met a boy, and he was flunking out of school, and his mother asked me to come and talk to him. And when I went to his house, I discovered this amazing treehouse in his backyard. And he had not only engineered the building of that treehouse, but he had also put together a treehouse club that had made a lot of money. And I sat down and talked to him, and at the end of the conversation I said to him, "What do you think that you do well?" And he said to me, I'll never forget this, he said, "Well, I can't sing, I can't draw, I'm not good at sports, and you know how I'm doing in school." And then he said, "Is that why you came to see me? Are you disappointed in me too?" And that was the moment everything changed for me. I realized that the things that I had been doing with children didn't work, and that we needed to start doing things differently. And the first thing I did was to start teaching living skills classes. But because there was no materials to teach the classes, to use in the classes, I started writing them, and that's how we got to where we are today. Most books that teach children about values, they use the storytelling approach. And while it's really very entertaining, it's not necessarily effective, because in order to really modify behavior, you need to use a very step-by-step instructional approach. For example, if you want a child to clean his or her bedroom, you don't tell the child a story about a fairy who cleaned a meadow. It's too abstract. What you do is you say, step 1, make your bed. Step 2, take everything that's out of place in your bedroom, put it on your bed, and you go on. And that's the difference between most books, what they do, and what we try to accomplish in our self-help books for kids. The purpose of my work is to teach children how to become responsible. What I want is I want to teach them the living skills that they need in order to be responsible for themselves, responsible in their relationships with others, and responsible in the way that they relate to the things in their environment. Because I believe that if we do that, we can actually change the world. It isn't easy getting kids to become responsible because, number one, they resist it. They'd much rather have you do everything for them. But the truth is the motivator here is they also want control over their life. And control is proportionate to responsibility. The more responsible they are willing to become and the more responsibility they assume, the more control they will have over their lives. And that's the way to motivate kids towards responsibility. Children should be pretty much making all of their decisions by the time they're 12 years of age. But that doesn't just happen overnight. You have to groom them to that point. And you start out with the simplest of decisions, like letting them choose a snack, letting them choose a book, letting them choose a toy. And it becomes more and more complex as they get older, like letting them choose their friends. So that by the time they're 12, and they should be making a lot of decisions, they know how to do it intelligently and responsibly. Most people categorize feelings into two categories. There's good feelings and there's bad feelings. But I choose to categorize feelings into uncomfortable feelings and comfortable feelings. And I try to teach children that uncomfortable feelings can be good because they can motivate you to do something that needs to be done. So it's not that feelings are neither good nor bad in and of themselves. It's how you handle them that make them good or bad. Now, for example, anger. Anger's okay. It isn't a bad emotion. It can motivate you to do what needs to be done. But you have to handle it in a way that doesn't hurt you, doesn't hurt other people, and doesn't hurt the things around you. When it comes to bullies, I try to explain to children why bullies do what they do, because I don't want them to personalize the bully's behavior. And by that I mean, I don't want them to ever think that there's something wrong with them and that's why they're being bullied. But more important, I try to teach children how to deal with a bully. And the first thing is to avoid them. If you can't avoid them, you walk or run away from them. And if you can't get away from them because they're following you, you get help. And you keep getting help until the bullying stops. Most people would be surprised to learn that 80% of misbehavior is boredom. When kids are bored, they're going to find something to do, and when they do, it's not always going to please parents and teachers. So the best thing to do is to address the boredom right away and head misbehavior off at the pass. Now, sometimes kids misbehave because they don't know any better, and that's why I wrote the Help Me Be Good books. All of them deal with early childhood misbehaviors. And in those books, I define a misbehavior, and then what I do is I talk about how it's not working. And then I tell children how to replace the misbehavior with good behavior. I've written a book for older children called Get Over It. And in that book, there's a whole section on bad habits. And that section teaches children that the first thing you want to do is to define why the habit is bad, how it's hurting you instead of helping you. The second thing you want to do is to find something to replace that bad habit with something good. And then the third, figure out some kind of system that will reward you every day that you don't practice the bad habit. And keep doing that until the bad habit is gone. When I was a young mother, I had 2 children in diapers at the same time. So I know how frustrating and exhausting diaper changing can become. But you know, parents do themselves a huge disservice when they cut and run too soon. It's very, very important to wait until the child is ready and motivated to potty train him or herself. In my kit, in fact, a lot of people ask, well, why did you name your potty training kit Do-It-Yourself Potty Training Kit? Because I believe that if you wait until children are ready and motivated, they'll train themselves. And it's going to be easier on everyone. With everything that's happening in the world today, one of the most important things to talk to children about is being greedy. In my book called Being Greedy, I talk about what being greedy is, and I talk about why it doesn't work. And then I teach children about a fair share. And I teach them that everyone is entitled to a fair share. And the reason this is so important is because it is the foundation for all balanced relationships. And those are the kind of relationships that are going to sustain a child throughout his or her lifetime.